Hi everyone.
Hi,
Today
everyone.
we have a very exciting day. Hello Ron and hello. I have a guest, Vosa, Fernando Vosa, incredible scientist and a dear friend. It's a very exciting because today we're going to talk a lot about technologies, Volsahedron, ecosystems, and anything that can be implemented for fifth dimensional structure to help the Earth go into the new beginning, and how is this connected with the consciousness itself. And Fernando is the perfect person to talk to. So I will give him the opportunity to introduce himself and what he can do. So hello, Fernando. How are you?
Hello, Marina and Ron. Thank you for having me here
Hello.
on the Enlightened Group conversation.
Welcome.
I am stepping into a whole new generation of my projects where we're going to build a technology that is a real game changer for the world. Most people aren't aware that there are those of us researchers on the front line working on technology that is free energy, technology to heal our bodies, solutions to grow super nutritious food, and technology and solutions for water that create a new kind of life force for us to regenerate our bodies. So to rewind back to 2012, December 21st, where many of us, we are preparing and waiting for a shift on the planet. So I even did a ceremony on December 21st with friends out on the beach. But then I woke up on December 22nd, and it still seemed like maybe a lot of things would have happened in the energetic part of our reality, but in the physical 3D part, it hadn't quite manifested yet. It was just a turning point. So that's when I awoke. I awoke to the fact that nothing in the physical had really changed that we could see. And I said, it's time for me to get to work, from not just doing the spiritual meditation, putting out messages, but to actually build something as an architect, as an engineer. So I started asking a new set of questions. And I invite this audience and those who will see this recorded later to explore those questions within themselves, because they're at the very core of the shift of energy that's occurring right now. So the first question is, could I build a house as a ship to transport me and my family? I don't have one right now, but when I do, from this age of humanity to a future age of humanity. I want to step into a transporter of sorts. And when I awaken from the journey, it may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, I don't have a number, where the earth is in peace, where we really got it together as a humanity, and we made a collective decision to clean up our planet, to transform our lives through peace and compassion. So that means there would be money flowing and projects and laws made to protect sustainable projects. So that was the first question. Could I actually do this as an architect? The second question I asked, what transformation would I like to go through during this journey? What would I like my body to become, my mind and my spirit? So this means that the definition of being sustainable is expanded from just food and water and energy. That's physical sustainability. It almost is survival mode. The second layer of that is the mental sustainability. The question is, what is mental and emotional sustainability? Do we have a sustainable mind right now? And the answer is no, we don't. We have a corrupt mind that's working against us. The third question in that line of thinking, could we create spiritual sustainability, where we are putting out more spiritual energy than we are taking in? We're consuming resources at all those levels, physical, mental, and spiritual. So imagine to talk to architects and engineers and off-the-grid preppers about spiritual sustainability. So what do you think, guys? Does that sound nice to just spread the envelope of what we consider sustainable, to go from survival mentality, victimhood, into ascension status, into a process to heal our bodies, heal our mind, and heal our spirit. So that was the opener of my project. How does that feel?
That was very nice. I think will be also people would like to know how did you start and what are your qualifications? You know, I know you are into nano, into quantum physics and uh, new structures of architecture. Would you like to explain a little bit about that?
Sure. I've cultivated a mind of what I consider to be a free energy quantum human. This means that the whole idea of focusing to me is broken because we seem to have a concept that if you have many skills, you're a multipath. Because I am an architect, I am also an engineer, I'm a scientist, but I'm also a fine artist and a healer, an energetic healer, and also a natural biologist. I am a permaculturist who studies how to heal the earth through permaculture. I also am an educator of children, and I teach art healing.
And you did that for quite a while too. Do
Well,
you
that was
mind
a program. Go ahead.
telling people? I remember for you were getting messages when you were thinking about the how to combine the vegetables and all the foods around your Volsahedron and how you
Yes,
get these messages to know exactly how to put them into the structure.
sure. When I was started this journey at 2012, 4 years ago, roughly, the worlds that I was living in, I had one foot in the esoteric metaphysical world of spirituality, listening to channeling, studying off-world cultures, and even researching extraterrestrial life. Then I had another foot in the architecture, engineering, science, physics world, and I wanted to combine them. And in the middle of those was life. What is it like to live in the desert here in Baja California? So that's where I started paying attention to the cactus, the barrel cactus that we see, those fat ones with the ridges. And at the same time, I was studying sacred geometry, the flower of life. Those understandings came together in my consciousness, and I was given a vision of creating a structure that has sacred geometry proportions of the flower of life, and at the same time, the cactus, surviving in the desert, harvesting water. How do cactus survive in extreme temperatures? Because they can handle below zero temperatures, but they can also handle super hot temperatures where it's 120 degrees outside without cooking. That was interesting to me. So I want to show you right now, this is the shape that I came up with. This is a 3D printed version of the Volsahedron structure. It's called the Volsahedron. The hedra is a geometry like the dodecahedron or the octahedron that follows specific rules. This is a 12-sided star that fits directly onto the flower of life. These little points connect to all the centers of the circles in the flower of life. And the proportions of one triangle to another triangle, I thought intuitively it was going to be the golden mean, which is 1.168, and it keeps going. This golden mean, I thought, was the fractal shape, the proportions of these two triangles. But when I actually measured them, it turned out they were the square root of 3, which is also an irrational infinite number. And I don't know, well, why the square root of 3, the size of this triangle versus this triangle? Well, the square root of 3 is a number used by Tesla to generate a circuit that has 3 components, which represent the Trinity, the
Unity,
Father,
yes,
the
unity.
Son, the Holy Spirit, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. This shape, as you go around, is a circuit. If you were to take a cable, a wire, copper wire, and start threading it, it would form a star that when you put electricity through that wire and it works its way around and around and around and around and it works its way up, it's a spiral from the ground going up the edge of this Volsahedron. It generates electricity. just by the geometry of it. Because electrons go from the ground on the surface of the dirt, and they see sacred proportions. Electrons are smart. They can tell that you're playing with the rules, right? So when electrons go on the surface of our body, they go on the surface of trees, they start creating flow, right? This is a free energy device without any machine. There's no generator, there's no moving parts. It just invites electrons to flip from positive to negative as they go up, and they collect on the top. And you notice on the top there's also another copy. And let me disconnect my phone for a second. Sorry about the interruption.
No problem. This is
Someday
incredible.
I'll get calls, right? So right there we have the language of life, the language of how to take free-flowing electricity that's always around us, energy, that's in chaotic entropy, or random, as you might say, but when it interacts with life, trees, your body, geometry, it becomes coherent, in order. So that's the first rule of free energy. Take the surrounding elements, whether it's in the earth, in the air, in the water, and even in your thoughts, and even in space, and organize them in order. So we take that electricity, like when in the dryer you have your socks, the static, and put it together and align those electrons, and it becomes a laser. That is what you get when you create superconductivity. When your body is in a healthy state, your mind is joyous, and you're connected to your source, you become a superconductor. Right, Marina?
Source.
That's what this is. It's a superconducting geometry.
That's incredible. This is exactly, what I was told from my guidance, and you explain it so well so people can see
And
it.
I can
So
feel it. If I put my hand right here, and I'm an empath, and I feel on the tips of my fingers a little bit of electricity right there, like just little tiny tingly. When I put this voltahedron on my body, like I lay down and meditate, I put it on my head, my third eye focuses and I can visualize. And people who are empaths can do that on the screen right here. Put your hands over the screen and you'll feel. This is a transmission tower. So
living in
that's what
something
happens
like
when you
this,
play
how
with
you
quantum. What's that?
implement that when you start living in it, that enhances in your energetic field, right?
Yes. When you this particular dome that I designed, I have two sizes. One is a 32-foot dome. That's the distance from this point to this point. It creates about a 500 square foot space. It's about the size of one floor in a regular house. And the height of this is about 12 feet, which is 4 meters. And a person will be about this tall, the first couple of curves here. So when you go inside of octahedron, your body is being placed in a cymatic pattern. That means that the energy reflected inside, when you talk, the chi or prana of your body, the thoughts reflect inside these little curves, and I'll get a little closer, and inside it creates a pattern that looks like a crystal snowflake, just like the snowflake patterns generated by Dr. Emoto in his water crystals. This means the water in your body, the water that you drink, the one that you bathe in, the one that you water your plants with, is becoming a structured element, which is one state right before plasma. When water is in liquid state and you add electricity to it, energy, and you form it with magnetic fields or with thought, intention like love and compassion, that water starts wanting to be a crystal. It starts charging itself. And that's what's going on with your body too. So your body inside a superconductive geometry wants to become a coherent crystal lattice of plasma. How many architects have you ever heard talk like this?
That one, that's why I love you so much because it's just unbelievable. You connected the architecture with the consciousness, and that's what I love about you. Because this, I know, is the new beginning for humanity. You have to connect science with consciousness. It's one unit. There's no separation. So when you combine all that, you definitely amplifying the natural and copying the natural flow of universal
Yes.
magma to your technology. That's what I love about it.
Thank you. And part of this shift that we're experiencing right now on Earth are people like us who've connected the dots, and we are cultivating a liquid mind, a mind that can go from the physical world of physics, science, the everyday matrix, and go to the esoteric, metaphysical, consciousness side and have no problem going back and forth. I'm not at war with science, and I'm not at war with the esoteric consciousness people. I am a conduit. And this is what it means to have higher vibration. We are turning up the ability of our mind to expand its awareness. So my eyes see a broader bandwidth of light. My ears can hear a broader bandwidth of sound. My skin can feel the current of my electric fields, which is my Merkaba. This is a container for your Merkaba auric field of your body, which is roughly 30 feet in diameter. This is the first house that I've seen in modern architecture on the planet designed to house your entire light body. Is it getting exciting yet?
I'm very excited. I'm very happy.
So to take it another step further, on the physical sustainability side, answering the question, can we have a house that generates its own electricity? The answer is yes. Do we need a separate generator? No. Can we have a house that cultivates and harvests its own water? And the answer is yes. We can have a house that collects water from the air, rain, moisture, and the ground. All three at the same time. It's a trinity. Can we have a house that grows its own super nutritious food? And the answer is yes. Because this house, this shape, generates a field on the outside, and I can measure it, how far out it extends. Roughly, it's about the, the diameter of this house all the way on the outside. So if you put a garden outside your house, you grow plants, you put water outside, you'll dive into a pool that is charged water from this device. Anybody who stands next to a sacred geometry temple, their mind starts thinking differently. Suddenly you have inspiration because this is created with intelligence that is beyond this planet. Just like when people stand next to a pyramid of Egypt, you have to be completely dead not to be awakened by standing in front of an impossible structure, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's fascinating.
I
Could you
want to just check
explain
my
how can you
audio.
collect the water, please?
Okay. Um, we're going to expand everybody's definition of what water is, what energy is, what healing is, because we're going to be tripping a lot if we keep thinking water is only one thing, and to understand what I'm talking about. Water has, we've been taught the three-dimensional states of water, solid, liquid, and gaseous. But what makes those three states different? It's the amount of energy, right? So what happens if we keep adding energy into water? What happens after gas? Plasma is the next state of water. What happens if we keep adding energy into that? From plasma, water turns into pure electricity. And somebody replied to Anja there, she's having a little trouble.
Yeah, Ron is on it.
Okay, so what happens to water after it goes through plasma, then electricity, and you keep adding energy into it? Water turns into consciousness. What happens to water after consciousness? It's an infinite process. I'll stop there because that's as far as we understand right now. This is an antenna that sends a signal to the atmosphere for water that is in energetic state or even in the consciousness state to coalesce here and rain to turn liquid onto the surface of the dome. This means that we can put these in the middle of the desert where there's zero humidity or precipitation, and it can generate its own humidity field outside like a little cloud, and it rains and it collects moisture and it drips down and it collects into our cistern. And that is done with specific frequencies. Just like a crystal that generates a piezoelectric effect, meaning a little tiny electric current at the end of a quartz crystal when you tap on it or when you talk to it, right? This house is generating a frequency. It is not the kind of sine wave we understand, like 432 hertz. It's actually a quantum field that tells the atmosphere there's life here, please water it. And we've tested that theory and it worked. We were able to make it rain inside a dome with sound that came from our voice. And now we're talking interesting, right, Marina?
That is amazing. This is exactly, I know it's completely possible, and I've been told about this stuff, and it's never a coincidence the way we met with you, Fernando, because this is exactly the stuff that I hope that one day we can do, you know.
Oh, yes. So let's
Hey,
get into
can,
the H word. It's kind of like the F word, but it's in consciousness. The
hey,
H word is
Fernando,
healing. Yes.
can we answer a question real quick? An
Oh,
interesting
Caroline, I
question.
just saw a message go by.
Yeah, I'll read it for everybody.
Okay.
As multidimensional beings, why do we still need to create physical objects to achieve these healing processes? Are we now not able to connect and manifest all we need via telepathic and energetic consciousness? I am imagining that working with formulas and energetic blueprints is a more viable, and affordable way.
Yes, Caroline, thank you, and I love your question. We do not need any physical implements to achieve any of this. We already are completely ascended, whole beings that are of infinite energy. It's already a given. But we are also focused in this time-space continuum of third, fourth, and fifth dimension. So we need to be able to play with body, mind, and spirit, all three. And by the way, there's beyond spirit too, in sixth, seventh, and higher dimensional. So what if we were able to create a bridge, a way for people to step gently with compassion through awareness of how to connect with Source? I started this project with the spiritual, energetic part first. I built this geometry in another dimension where I could visit and teleport to it through my dream space, through meditation, and went inside, outside, inside, and studied the geometry through about a year of investigation and brought that information back, went into my computer, worked on the 3D model, asked more questions, and start a cycle of communication through my DNA of how to do this in three-dimensional Earth. This is a miraculous transmission of teleporting matter from a quantum state to the third dimension in order to show people that you can go from watching television, paying your taxes, driving your car, to living in a house that awakens you gently with compassion and mercy. Because if I went into an architect's office, or if I went into a meeting of sustainability people and said, why don't we just teleport to another dimension? The delta, the difference between that and being able to do it is still too great for 99% of this planet. A lot of people would burn up. Their physical body would explode with this knowledge. If you took the knowledge that's inside Marina, if you took the knowledge that's inside me into a quantum state and put it in somebody else, boom, they would turn to light. It's too much, and it is not in their free will to go this fast. Right, Marina?
That's right. I can. That was really good question. Thank you, Fernando. You answered well. What they were saying is that we have to go through a natural process of evolution that we agree upon. understand what we talk about. I wanted when you guys come to our webinar to expand your consciousness to the limits, so you can choose for yourself how your daily life should go, and how we're basically planting the seeds, and we're just hoping that you can expand your consciousness this way. That's what we're doing. So
Right.
thank you so much for
Just
the
to
wonderful question.
give an idea, my DNA in this incarnation, not in this body here, but in this realm, you might say, of third dimensional nearby energy of the Milky Way galaxy is roughly 6.2 million years old. That does not include my inheritance from Andromeda or beyond, other galaxies. So we're talking about billions of years that it took me to get this consciousness to translate into Earth in this body. It didn't happen overnight. I have recorded in my cellular structure thousands of lifetimes studying crystal energy, studying Earth technology just here on planet Earth. So imagine those of us who wanted to download this to somebody who doesn't really even want to know all that, right?
No,
All right.
because the energy is increasing a completely different frequency, and you will literally evaporate. If right now the extraterrestrials, for example, all of a sudden they showed up in front of us, we're gonna evaporate, because the frequency is just such a high speed of energetic field that you're gonna be like in a micro, because your consciousness with the body is not ready to withhold this type of structure. The
Right.
reason why we gotta learn and we gotta cleanse our bodies, and we have to go to a completely different state of now we have to combine the consciousness and body at one structure, right, Fernando?
Yes. Now, the path is this healing path that we're talking about. So one of the things I did in this project is to extend the definition of what healing is. Because allopathic medicine, the Western doctors don't have a definition of healing. Isn't that crazy? And we don't even have a good working definition in our own life. What does it mean to heal? I wanted to have an understanding in physics. Talk to a quantum physics, mechanical engineer, say, what is healing? They're going to be, what are you talking about? Talk to a mathematician and ask them, do you know what healing is? Oh, crickets. We have the Large Hadron Collider that we spent hundreds of billions of dollars to build, and ask any of those geniuses, do you know what healing is? And they're going to be, beep. I said, we need to answer that question. But the healers know what healing is. The people in the esoteric community know what healing is. It is a rejoining of energy and aligning it to your source. It is the move back to what it is that you are, the self-realization, the awakening to the truth of what you are. So I wanted to put that into this. I would like this Volsahedron structure to be your temple of healing. So when I step into it, I am inside a field that reminds me that I can align every single cell in my body to the blueprint that is being transmitted through my DNA that has gone corrupt. Our DNA has been messed with. Our cells are right now operating at probably 20% efficiency. I want to know, what does it look like when we're at least 50% efficiency? When we have an immune system that not only is chemical, can fight off viruses and bacteria, but also to have an immune system of our auric field. That means that we are superconductive healing mechanisms and beings, that anybody that stands next to us, their body does the namaste in Lakesh. Namaste meaning the God inside of me recognizes the God inside of you. In physics, it's like when you take two magnets and they stick, the electrons have a quantum field between them, and they say, the resonance inside of me acknowledges that resonance, and they both interact, and that is infinite. Magnets can stick forever. I wanted that capability in my body, and this is the training mechanism. But once you entrain, your body learns the frequency, you don't need the house anymore. You walk around the earth and you're healing yourself, you're healing plants, you're healing animals, your friends, anybody that talks. Eventually, if somebody thinks about you, they will receive healing energy. It's a quantum state. Does this sound natural, Marina?
This is beautiful. Yes, that's right, because all that is part of creation itself. And when you mimic creation, everything is coming in our reality, copying like a mirror image to it.
Yes. So the immune system of this structure, the way the physical parts of it work, is that whenever you get heat or extreme cold wind hit this structure, it goes into these angles. It's a 30-degree angle, not a 90. And it creates a little bit of a deviation of the thermal current or the cold wind, and it creates a little vortex right here, and another one right here, and another one right here. And combined all those little vortices, and they make one field. And in a cell, it's called a zona pellucida. In the flower of life has a zona pellucida. The surface of your skin has a membrane layer of energy that keeps, just like the earth, the ionosphere, it keeps from invasion of unwanted energy and parasites.
That's why you shouldn't put lotions in your skin.
That's true.
Yes,
at least they have to be essential oils that are the right kind for your skin, not all of them.
Organic oils, yes.
Living oils, olive oil and plant oils, not petrol-based chemicals made from greed. So what this house does, it also rejects HARP signals. It also deflects cell phone and Wi-Fi, so you won't have cell phone and Wi-Fi in this house. You won't even need it. You'll have the internet. The idea is to create a neutral space. Just like when you go into a cave. Has any of you just been inside a temple, like a church or a cave, that you feel peace? It is quiet. It's not like you go inside this house and you're being charged. No, it's a neutral space. There is an absence of frequencies inside this house. That's how you get to the first stage of healing. It is an energetic detox. Does that sound like fun?
That's incredible. This is possible. So all that technology is going to be the transmission and all the knowledge to be taken, and that will basically enhance humanity to become the living force of absolute telepathy and all this stuff, because this is still part of creation. Energy yes. And all the technology is part of creation. So let's not reject it, accept it, and let that amplify in our abilities for complete creation.
Sure.
I guess.
And I'm still open for questions too. I'm monitoring for questions. So I wanted to show that the
we're getting close to the hour. You gotta change it, right?
Do we have a question coming? I hear somebody saying hi. Who is that?
Hi, it's John. It's John.
Hi, John.
Apologies.
Do you have a question?
How are you guys?
Marina or Fernando? We're great.
Well, Fernando first. Firstly, really like you. Love your design. I was a design engineer, and I've been looking at sacred geometry and all sorts, and I'm working on the Kesh maggrav, where I've.
So you're building a GANs generator.
Yeah. I've done the maggrav. I've been generating different Ganses. That's where my knowledge is not brilliant, but I'm starting to understand it more. But yeah, the shapes, like the tetrahedral plantonic solid, but the five-sided pyramid, as the pyramids in Giza, like you say, have been understood and been in the tombs and all sorts with a guide years ago, and obviously I've always understood there's more to it. As a child, I've seen the light beings, I've seen a craft and why, I think they were Arcturians, I'm not sure, and they've given me healing recently, and I've seen them again in the skies. So, I'm a long way down the journey. I've come from a military family background, so I understand that side as well.
You've seen both sides of the equation there.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I can see the manipulation. I can see how my father was manipulated and my grandfather because they were highly decorated soldiers, but they believed they were fighting for the light and they've been deceived. So I've been waking people up in effect quite heavily, and I'm going out and did something on film, which I don't know whether it'll get shown, but I know that's one of my jobs as a light worker, but I'm trying to understand where I should be going in terms of technology because I've got an engineering background. Yeah, I've got the knowledge of different aspects, and I've done lots of research into all sorts over the last year and a half. So I've had a pretty quick awakening.
Wow, you're going through a full process. I'm receiving that energy.
Can you feel it? Yeah,
The
yeah.
path is found through healing. How do I heal the people around me, the people that I interact with every day?
Well, this
Whether
is
it's something you create or something that you intend. And you don't
yeah,
have to worry about the rest of the world. Just worry about the 10 or 12 people that you interact with regularly. That's
yeah,
where it begins.
yeah.
I
I
wanted
mean,
to address the pyramid that you mentioned in Giza. You
yeah,
know the platonic solids that were taught, the cube, the icosahedron, the dodecahedron, all those,
yeah,
that's a progression of frequencies. And consciousness back 5 to 10,000 years ago was at the pyramid, the icosahedron, because that's where that was. And that is old technology now. The pyramids in Egypt
yeah,
is something that are no longer fully active. They're out of tune. And all the pyramids around the world came from a generation of humanity that is no longer in charge here. That
hmm
I want to make a distinction that we are the ascended masters that came back, and we are bringing new geometries that have not been seen on this planet. Because
yeah,
when you study the progression, they're looking for the 6 platonic solids, and we have a lot of them. And there
yeah,
are more that keeps growing. This, combined with the bottom part, is a platonic solid. It follows most of the rules, but I have to bend a few to make it an architecture that you can actually build. So
hmm
I like that people study pyramids about what's possible, but I warn that that energy is no longer appropriate for Earth. Marina, do you have any
that's
insights on that?
I have a lot of insights. First of all,
Thank you,
John,
John, by the way, for your
no,
sharing.
no. You're welcome. Just a quick one. Sorry, Marina.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were getting to a
Mass,
question. Sorry.
massive request. Respect to you all because this is where I'm at, and then you've obviously got knowledge that is
I got your
fantastic.
download.
So yeah, yeah. Something that's been drawing to my attention is quasi-crystals and pentagon as a shape. Always been balanced, the best balanced engine, things like that. So I'm wondering, is that a next step on as well? Is that like something,
Well, the progression is
quasi-crystal
not linear.
structure?
Every person is on a different path. There are
Yeah,
7 billion geometries here on Earth, and each one is a different reality. So some people resonate with a 5-pointed star. Some people resonate with the upside-down pentagram that we equate with Satanism. I don't make a judgment. I wanted to share, speaking of crystals, here is a shard of selenite that came from the Nika mine in Mexico, where they found those 30, 40-foot long crystals, that cave that looks like Superman's cave, right?
Watched
And
that on
it,
TV recently.
yes, and the angles on these crystals are the 60-degree angles of the Volsahedron. This found itself back into my life.
wow.
And this was a gift given to me. These are antennas. And this crystal, when you put it in the sun, you can't see it through this camera, but there are layers. It has this layers like like a bookcase of thin crystals all packed together. And in between each layer, and you look through it with sunlight, there are holograms, like areas of iridescence, and they're 3-dimensional. When I turn the crystal in the sun, I see the 3-dimensional holograms turning. So I've taken a laser and scanned this in the dark and started projecting through it, like the laser goes through the crystal, and on the wall it projects images. They are like rainbows with patterns. This is my Atlantean heritage speaking to me that there are millions of years of information stored in each crystal.
That's right.
This has been in
Yeah.
the earth for millions of years.
Copy the structure itself. The most fundamental things when they were teaching me, when you read the harmonic reactor material, it's that if you want to build the technology, you have to copy the ether, you have to copy the sacred geometries into your structure of whatever machine or something you're building, John. And
Yeah.
also for you, the advice from the council was for you to combine and listen to a lot of scientist material.
Yeah.
Between all that information, the proper information will come to you depending of your work into. You can't
Okay.
take the work only in one person. It has because all of the scientists have piece of the puzzle. If everybody works in unity and you are taking a little bit of here, a little bit of there, you will come up exactly, will the next step will be given to you. And one more thing, that if you put your thoughts, your work, and everything for the benefit of humanity, the higher consciousness is going to contact you, and you're going to have help, and you're going to have thoughts that constantly going to be happening the way it was with Fernando, that when he, for example, wanted to find some information, through synchronicity was shown to him, or he'll find a way to do it. This is exactly how it works. So if you're open to that, believe me, your answers will be through, they said, through the process of your work.
Ah, very nice. So, John, does that answer your question a little bit or too much? I
We lost him.
Any
guess
other questions,
he
John?
muted.
Hey, Fernando, I got my selenite. I love selenite.
It is
Ah,
a higher frequency than quartz, and it is what would be considered faster than the speed of light. And it is a transducer, just like all crystals. They're sending and receiving in a quantum way information all the time. Imagine taking that crystal that you have in your hand, Ron, and wiring a coil around it and putting the leads of that coil into a USB device
Uh-huh.
and plugging that configuration into your laptop. That creates an antenna to receive and transmit quantum information that you could write a software driver to listen to what's coming through the USB and put it up on the screen, and you can create a video conferencing system for quantum communication across the universe. It's that simple.
That's interesting.
This is all information that's been kept from us, and I'm here
And
with
somebody's doing
Marina
it, I
to
guarantee you.
disclose openly that these tools are ours. Right, Marina?
yes.
That's why I'm not scared. I'll talk to engineers and electrical engineers and a mechanical, and we can talk about things that would expand their awareness. Just like what they show on the movies where they reverse engineer a UFO craft, this information we're sharing about crystals, even extraterrestrials are studying crystals and what they can do. Depends where their consciousness is.
That's right.
So are we ready to open another door with this Bosahedron? Yeah? Are you guys feeling the pulsing in your pineal, which I'm transmitting?
Yeah, I want
information?
to ask you something, Fernando. Is there, strategic regions or areas that are better or the best to build something like this when you're looking for land?
Yes. Just like when you build a monumental city, back when the ancient monolith masters that built Machu Picchu and Teotihuacan and all those great cities like Athens, Greece, there are specific ley line interactions that blend. It's like a sandwich. If you were to look at the strata, a slice of earth, you have underground rivers that intersect. Those points are interesting. Then you have magnetic waves that pulse from certain mountains, like Mount Shasta,
Yeah.
Mount Kilimanjaro. They pulse all the time, boom, boom. And those waves interact with waves from another point on the other side of the earth. And those are called nulls or nodes. A node transmits and a null receives. And Places like Arkansas that have those giant crystal veins or gold veins, the ancients knew how to find these, how to dowse for them, how to use crystals to find all those. And that's the greatest concentration of life force on the planet in those areas. There are other areas that are toxic to us that for whatever reason we just want to keep building cities in them, you know, like Los Angeles or New York. There are places that are not appropriate for us to live because of the energies. And we're going to have earthquakes through those areas. The earth is telling us, get off, you know, it's not for you.
In New York, every time I went to New York, they were telling me we're with you, and they really did not like the area there. The vortexes and the entire energy, it's being completely compromised.
London is another one. The Vatican is another one. All the places like Washington, D.C. are dark energies that are feeding our victimhood consciousness. That's why we have high crime rates in those areas.
More nature. We got to go more into nature.
But I want to warn that this isn't a judgment against people that live in those beautiful cities. I love visiting those cities because wherever we find power bases, we also have light workers. We have consciousness, people that are artists that come and show their creative talents to awaken us. So I want to honor those people in the front lines, in the trenches.
It's like a balance in there, but you just have to pay attention to how things are.
Right. I recommend people before they travel to hydrate with living water, to detoxify after visiting those cities, because even the journey on the airplane is already putting your body in a very stressed TSA scans and all that. And by the time you land in New York and you're walking around, there are bombardment of energies there from all those towers that they put all over the city. And those of us who visit more nature and go in the city, you feel it, right?
Hey,
Yeah,
Fernando.
you do. There's also for the airplane, I had a situation, since you mentioned that I was traveling to England, and the whole time that they were talking to me, because they wanted my consciousness to stay constantly in a level with them, even if my body was in an airplane. And then when I was getting nauseous, they told me specific breathing and connection with them in order for me not to get sick in the airplane and the landing. So it was an amazing experience. But I know that you can hold that vibration if you constantly connect to the higher realms.
Yes,
Hey,
you
you
can
guys, I'm
ground
going to
up.
pause. Can we pause just for about 10 seconds? I got to stop the recording to start the new one. You know,
Yes,
Okay.
the
perfect.
Facebook requirement. Okay.